Hi, welcome back to a new episode of the Women's Strength Society show. Today we're going to talk about why the weight on the scale does matter. And I know this might sound a little controversial, but in the last couple of weeks, I had a lot of conversations with women, be it in on calls or in my DMs or with clients who just got started with working with us. And one sentence that I hear over and over and over again, and it kind of gets on my nerves, and that's why we need to talk about this topic today on this podcast episode, is that the women are saying, yeah, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z. I want to look like I lift, but the weight on the scale doesn't really matter to me. And I know where this comes from, but we want to go a little bit deeper why the weight on the scale does matter.
It's pretty simple, right? It's because there is a relationship between your weight and the way you're going to look in relationship to your height and to your strength. And it's again the topic of like body composition, body recomposition, and body fat percentage, and using that as a metric instead of the number on the scale, because supposedly then it's a better indicator of where you're at when it comes to your body composition, but it truly isn't. And much more importantly than that, it's what you do with that number. And I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil like pretty much the whole episode right now already, but the reason why we are so big on using the number on the scale and using your weight is not because of that number and because there is a certain number where we're like, hey, this is where you need to be and we want to force that, but more so it's because using that number day to day is a much better indicator of how your body is responding to your food intake, and the changes that we can then make to your food intake to drive the progress is much more reliable as opposed to using a body fat percentage, for example. And so this is like one of the main reasons we are going to go a bit more in depth about the whole topic. But it's very interesting because I feel like this is really an avoidance problem. And at some point, some guy or some gal said like, hey, we are going to change the vocabulary. We are going to change our marketing because the ladies are freaking out because of the number on the scale, and it's not something that's good, and it isn't. And so instead we are going to decide now to focus on body recomp and body fat percentage.
Yeah.
And then you can sell that because it's something new, it's something that the customer hasn't heard before, and there's no luggage that comes with it, or at least much less so than the number on the scale, the body weight. And so it's more like, hey, we are going to use that from a marketing perspective. It's going to land pretty well. But in terms of really driving progress, then actually it's way worse.
And it's interesting because it's not like something that is like completely new to me. I've heard it before, but we are now working with women exclusively for over 6 years. And just like recently, like I would say the last maybe 6 months, I hear it more and more and more. If I ask a woman like, hey, what is a weight you remember where you like felt comfortable in your skin, or where you were like, okay, this is something I would like to go back to, just as a reference point, right? We don't need to hit the exact number, but just to get an idea of where have you been in the past, like what was your let's say set point where you were like, okay, it would be nice to go kind of like back to that number roughly. Then I always hear sometimes a number, and then immediately after someone tells me the number, it's like they need to justify it.
almost like apologize for it.
Almost apologize that they are shooting for a number. They're telling me, yeah, but the weight on the scale doesn't matter. And also, I have gained so much muscle mass, so probably it's higher than that because I have gained so much muscle mass. I'm like, probably you have not gained so much muscle mass, but I will not tell you this right now. Because when I'm thinking back, little story time, when I'm thinking back about my journey, I started my journey at 64 kg. What's that in pounds? 130? A little bit more.
So again, what was the number?
64.
64, it's 143 pounds.
143.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where I started my journey. That was like the heaviest.
142.
Yeah, that was the heaviest. And I wanted to just drop 5 kilo, just drop below 60 kilo because I thought, wow, this is like such a huge like difference. But I also didn't have the reference point of how I felt with like 58 kilo. So I didn't know like how I will look going there. But once I was there, I could definitely see that I had a long way to go to actually look really lean. And when we are talking to our ladies, most of them have the ambition of not just getting a little bit slimmer, but having visible muscle definition. And visible muscle definition is, again, not dropping a little bit of body fat, but really seeing the more the cuts of the muscle and looking pretty dry, I would say tight. And so when we are looking to achieve that kind of body composition, then most of the time the women that we work with, they need to lose more weight than what they initially thought they need to lose. Not to stay there, but to see how much muscle mass they actually have. And because it's like highly, highly overestimated by women how much muscle they have, and highly underestimated how much body fat they need to lose. For someone who has gone already through a couple of cutting and building cycles, it's a little bit different because that person usually tends to know already like, oh, I was 10 kilo lighter and I actually looked the same. I was just a slimmer version of myself. Then we know like, okay, we need to definitely build muscle. Doing the same will not lead to different results. So for someone who has done the cuts and the builds before, that woman is usually a little bit more experienced with her weight and does also have good reference points. But for someone who has not done that successfully before, it's usually not possible for them to know where they need to go in terms of their body weight. And that's the exact reason why we need to set up that number, right? So when women start to work with us, we will not let them believe, yeah, the weight on the scale doesn't matter, right? It's just like how you feel and how you look. It is about how you feel and how you look, of course. It's your body. You should be feeling comfortable in your own skin. But for us as a coaching team, coaching you, we need to understand what are we working towards. And so we need that metric, not to go there at all cost. That's not what we are saying. And also we are not saying that your self-worth is attached to the number on the scale and you're a bad person if you're not hitting it and all those like bullshit crap that we see on social media. People telling you, I so often have the feeling they are, and I said that yesterday to you, or the day before, is that I have the feeling a lot of coaches are using it's not about the number on the scale because they cannot actually deliver on the results the client is looking for, and they don't know which number to shoot for. We know which number to shoot for with every client that comes to us. It will be slightly off maybe by a couple of 1-2 kilo, but we are pretty good, damn good in understanding for your body height how much you should be able to, how much we should be shooting for to achieve a specific physique. And back to my story. Sorry, I need to close the
Close
the loop.
Yeah.
So I thought below 60 I will look like completely different. Wasn't the case. And I had to go through a couple more cutting, building cycles until I eventually hit 50 kilo for my photo shoot prep. And of course, this is not a number where I was sitting then at maintenance, but this was at the end of my fat loss phase to really lean out and lose the annoying last bit of body fat that I wanted to lose, right? There are just areas that will not lean out until you are like really, really lean. For women, that can be especially the lower body. And so that was the first time where I saw way, way more muscle definition in my legs, in my hamstrings, in my quads. And I had to go there so that I can then maintain a leaner, more defined physique, being back 5 kilo heavier than that. So I was not staying there. And it's also not about hitting a number on the scale and then staying there. But if you want to achieve muscle definition and exhaust your cutting and building phases, then you need to treat the number on the scale like a metric that is important in your process, instead of avoiding it and telling yourself it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. And as Yannick said, there is a correlation between your height and your body weight. I'm 163 centimeters petite. I'm not very tall. And we have a lot of ladies who are the same height as me. And again, it's not about me telling them you need to weigh exactly as I did in like my cutting and building phases to go to achieve that look. But we do see a correlation between the height and the weight and how it looks on that frame. Of course, someone can be a little bit smaller, but built a little bit different. Someone is a little bit smaller, like not that tall, but also like very petite when it comes to like just the frame of their bones. And so all those things we need to take into consideration when starting to work with the client. And that's why we like to set a number on the scale as a target. And it's, again, one data point of many data points, but it's important.
So I just want to touch on what you just said about like the frame and how it's going to be different for everybody. You know, there's one thing that is super important when it comes to improving your body composition and building muscle and looking like you lift and having muscle definition. It's your strength number and strength level. There's a very, very strong correlation between the amount of muscle that you have and the force that you are able to produce. And if you can produce more force, then you are going to be able to be stronger and move more weight in the gym. And so it means that, you know, when you go through those transformation cycles and you pay attention to your nutrition and so forth and so on, then your strength should be at the forefront of your mind, because this is also going to tell you a lot about your body composition. And what we see over and over and over and over again is the women who are the strongest, they end up looking leaner at a higher body weight than the women who are not strong and then lose weight. For them to really look lean and see muscle definition, then they have to go lower with their body weight. And this is truly because more muscle equals more strength. And so when we talk about that, you know, you can also base the strength number in relation to your body weight. That's also another metric or another reason why body weight is somewhat important or relevant. And so if you are not able to deadlift like twice your body weight and do squats with 1.5 times your body weight for multiple reps and bench press probably like your body weight and do multiple unassisted pull-up, like at least 5, then you don't have a lot of muscle. And it means that, you are going to have to lose a bit more weight to get to the point where you see muscle definition. But it also means that for you in your journey, what's going to be super important is to increase your muscle mass by getting stronger, so that you when you lose weight so that you lean out and look like you actually lift. And this is something that's missed very often. And to tie it back to the body fat percentage, it's also where it's a bit complicated, because your strength numbers and your muscle mass is going to increase so slowly that the scale, like the smart scale that gives you a body fat percentage, it's not going to catch it. It's really just not going to catch it.
Throw it out of the window.
Yeah.
You don't need it. Just get a like very, very simple, boring, old school scale.
That's really like literally all you need. And so the problem is like, losing body fat is going to happen at the very least 4 times faster than how fast you build muscle. And if you look at the people who have the most muscle mass and who are the best at increasing muscle mass and losing body fat, we need to look at the bodybuilders. And for them, if they are able to pack on, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 kilos of muscle per year, it's huge. And they repeat that over maybe a decade. That's a huge number. And those are numbers of people who inject like PEDs. They inject testosterone and all sort of stuff to really maximize how much muscle mass they are able to grow. And so to give you that like a very, very clear idea of what it means is, picture a woman like Dragana, and then she adds 4 kilos of muscle per year for multiple years on end. Let's say like 8 years. That's 32 kilo of added muscle mass. Right? So if we go to
my body weight.
If we go to the point where you were like absolutely shredded for your photo shoot and you were weighing 110 pounds, so 50 kilo.
Yeah.
Now add 32 kilo of muscle to that frame. Like, that's a huge difference. You'd be like a bodybuilder where you ask like, is that even a woman?
Yeah.
So to each their own, not really my preference. Point being, that's like a huge increase in muscle mass. That's only 4 kilo per year. 4 kilo, it's like 8.5 pounds. That's not even 1 pound of muscle per month. Like, that's very, very little. So how's your scale going to tell you that you are progressing at a good rate? It's just not. That could be a fluctuation because you had sushis last night, and then because of all the sodium, it pulled a lot of water, and then now the scale is measuring that differently, and so suddenly it says like, hey, you gained 2 pounds of muscle overnight,
exactly.
And your body fat percentage dropped by 3%. Amazing job. Whatever you did, then keep doing that.
I really have the feeling like women are getting so scammed, and it's like, it really drives me nuts. It's also this like whole the whole narrative of the weight on the scale doesn't matter, to kind of protect women, because the scale has become such a bad thing that is driving you emotionally crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like a taboo.
It's almost like a taboo.
Don't talk about it.
100%. And I'm like, why don't we educate women properly around it instead of like avoiding it? I really don't understand it.
Preach.
The same with the same thing with the smart scale, with the body fat percentage that you then see on it, and the muscle mass. It's so inaccurate, and you are getting trapped into like thinking that this is now the right metric, when this is even less accurate than stepping on the scale and seeing your body weight, right? The body weight is your body weight, body fat percentage, and the lean body mass you see on your smart scale is probably way off for multiple reasons, and very like inaccurate in like how it's measured. And the other thing is like the belief of, I've built so much muscle. You probably haven't, and nobody is telling you that, and that drives me nuts, because if you could hear the truth, if someone would tell you the truth and be like, sorry girl, but first off, to achieve the look that you're looking for, you actually need to lose X amount of weight to get to this point. then we need to focus on increasing your lifts to X, Y, and Z number. This is what you need. And it will take you like this long. And you will need to focus on these things. Like, this is what I wish more women would have like as their game plan, to understand really what it takes them to achieve the look they're after, the physique they're after, instead of like being trapped in being so overly focused on things that don't matter and that are just like gimmicky and marketing stuff that are selling you on some new fancy shiny objects.
I wholeheartedly agree. And to continue on that, we just talk about muscle mass not being captured accurately by a smart scale that gives you a body fat percentage. Like, muscle mass is extreme because it's so slow. But even for something that's actually quite quick, like losing body fat, then the body fat percentage is still not going to be super helpful, because if you go through a fat loss phase where you lose a bunch of weight and let's say you decrease your body fat percentage by, 8% or maybe even 10%, and you do that over like 6 months, then it means that you're losing around 1 to 1.5% of body fat per month. That's very, very slow. In the day-to-day, you are not going to be able to see how your body is responding to what you're doing, and you are not going to be able to then decide like, hey, am I even in a calorie deficit? Am I eating the right things so that my body is actually changing and that I'm losing body fat at a rate that's actually helpful for my long-term journey? And the reason we talk about that so much is because it's very easy to then convince yourself that you are on this body recomp journey and you are in a mild deficit, and you are building muscle at the same time that you are losing body fat. And then this is something that's actually quite slow, and then you go on for like 9 months, 12 months, 1.5 years, 2 years doing that, but nothing has really changed. Because
the body weight stays either the same, because this is what they tell you, this is how it should look like, right? The body weight should stay the same because you're dropping body fat but increasing your muscle mass, or your body weight goes up, and then the explanation for that is, you are building muscle, right? But oftentimes what I see is women are gaining weight, but most of it, because other things are not dialed in as well, like the training, they're gaining body fat, and they are like convinced that this is how it needs to go, and this is what I need to do to build the muscle mass. You get a little bit like fluffier and puffier and bulky and all those things. In the end, they just see that actually their strength numbers haven't increased that much. They cannot answer the question. Like 99% of women who get to work with us, and we're asking them at the very beginning inside the consultation form, like, what are your strength numbers? They cannot answer that question. And so that's already like a big red flag for, if you don't know your numbers, you are nowhere near where you need to be in terms of your strength and performance in the gym for the body composition that you are probably looking for to achieve.
Yeah, and the reason we can say that like very assertively is because it's difficult. Like the numbers that I gave before, double body weight for deadlifts, 1.5 times your body weight for squats, body weight for bench press, that's even like pretty ambitious for women because they don't care so much about the bench press. And then doing like 5 or more pull up, those are numbers, like it's not the end of the journey by any means. It's more like entry level if you really want to look like you lift, but still it's something that's not like it's earned. You have to put a lot of effort into achieving that, and in the amount of effort that you are going to have to put into that, then part of it is going to be about like, hey, how strong am I really right now? If you don't do that, then the likelihood of you achieving those numbers is very, very slim, because it's not something that's going to just happen by chance because, you went to the gym and then lifted 3 times and then you have heavy bones and you put on a lot of muscle very quickly. This is something that happens for like 2% of the women that we work with. And I actually calculated that recently. There's more chance of you becoming a millionaire than having like a lot of muscle to begin with and not having to worry about your muscle mass and your strength if you want to improve your body composition. So this is something that's super, super important, and most women don't know their numbers. It means that you want to be like, okay, how much weight can I move for 10 reps for this lift, for this lift, for this lift? How much reps can I do with this weight for different lifts? And then this is going to give you an idea of how strong you are and how much muscle you have. And then on the flip side, when you want to improve body composition, then what you do is actually use the scale as we were saying, and then when you are eating, then you are going to see if there's a trend going down for your weight. And if it's the case, and at the same time you are able to maintain your strength or even increase it, then you know for a fact that you are improving your body composition. You don't need like a percentage that's not going to capture those changes to tell you that you are making the progress in the right direction. You just know because the weight is dropping. It means that you are maintaining your muscle mass or even increasing it a bit because you are getting stronger. You cannot get stronger while losing muscle. It's just like not going to happen. So if you maintain your strength and or you increase it, then you know that your muscle mass is at the very least stable, or it's even like increasing. And at the same time, if you lose weight, then you know that the weight you're losing is body fat, because your organs and your bones are not really shrinking, like up to a point. If your BMI is like lower than 19, then it becomes problematic. But if you are increasing your strength and you have a BMI of 19, then you're also looking pretty shredded at this point.
100%.
So this is a number that's also not thrown out just like randomly. It's because, BMI, it's another topic, another topic
for another episode. We can go on and on and on.
Yeah, but very briefly, like BMI is, the relationship between your height and your weight. And this is also something that we use because it does tell you like where you're at. And there's a scale like 19 to 25, I think, is quote unquote normal weight, and below that you are underweight, and above that then you are overweight. And so it's super, super difficult to be very lean on the top end of that number. So if you have a BMI of 25, the likelihood of you being lean and seeing muscle definition is very low. Unless you're like a pro bodybuilder and you
have a lot of muscle mass, a lot of muscle mass, and then you're using PEDs, but then you're also like crazy strong. Yeah.
Right. And then on the other side, if you're on the lower end of the scale, around like 19 to 20, then we know for a fact that you don't have a lot of muscle mass. And if you have definition at that point, which you should, then for you, what's important is not losing more weight. It's to actually increasing muscle mass. And again, you don't need like a body fat percentage to tell you that. It's very straightforward. You are very light. Your body weight is just like a bit too low. It means that you don't have a lot of muscle mass. And so for you right now, the priority is getting stronger and eating enough so that you can increase your muscle mass. You don't have to worry about the body fat percentage on the scale. That's going to, I don't know what it's going to tell you, but it's going to be such a slow process that you're not going to see a lot if you track that number specifically. So point being, stop worrying about the body fat percentage, throw out the smart scale, and then stay focused on the thing that matters. And if you want to improve body composition, it's going to be your body weight, it's going to be your strength numbers, it's going to be your food intake, it's going to be your step counts, and then it's going to be sleeping as much as you can. And it's also something that you don't have to track with the sleep tracker. This is something for another episode as well. This is also like a huge scam. Just sleep as much as you can and then forget about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you don't have to have a tracker that tells you like you went to bed at 11 and then woke up at 5 in the morning. You know when you went to bed, you know when you woke up, and then if you woke up throughout the night, then you know that your sleep wasn't the best. And also like 11 to 5, it's only 6 hours, then you know it's just like too little.
Easy math.
Yeah, you don't have to pay like for a Whoop or Oura Ring to tell you this. So
We are spicy today, as you can hear. But yeah, an episode that was urgently needed to wake you a little bit up, and to make sure that you're actually focusing on the right stuff, because body transformation takes so much time, right? It does take time. You cannot cheat your way to an outstanding physique. And so when you're focusing on the wrong stuff,
it takes even more time.
It takes double your time.
Yeah.
Even more than that. Like, we have worked with women who are in this game for like 20 years and they don't look like they lived. I mean, it's just, we could have done a much better job in like 3 to 5 years, which is crazy to think of. And time flies by. You are getting older, things are not getting easier, and so you just need to have a proper strategy in place and focus on the things that really matter. And your weight on the scale is one data point that we need to have a look at. Don't convince yourself that it doesn't matter. As we said, it's just some kind of avoidance of one data point that does matter for your body composition and achieving a certain look in your like physique. So I hope that sparked some little like light bulb moments. Today, you're not hating us, but you're taking this advice and maybe thinking a little bit about it. I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on it. So you can definitely leave a comment below this episode. And yeah, if you liked it, then send it to a friend that is maybe telling exactly that,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Because we have a lot of women who are saying like, hey, the weight on the scale doesn't matter. Blah, 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 blah.
I just want to leave one last thought about that. You know, it's because maybe you are someone who has a baggage with the scale and there's some emotion going on, and it's not something that's easy to just like decide, okay, I'm going to from now on step on the scale and just embrace that. Absolutely fair. The thing is, like, we could talk about that forever. You could go to therapy for that and do some exposure therapy, you know, where you come closer to the scale, then you put one foot on it and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be super, super quick if you just decide that you're going to do it and then say like, hey, I understand that those emotions are going to come up. I understand that it's challenging, but the only way forward is through. Thank you. You know, and I'm just going to do it. Try to do that. Try to have that attitude, because it's really going to help speed up the process, and then embrace that more quickly and detach yourself from that luggage and from the emotion that comes with it. Because if you step on the scale every day, or even at the beginning, if it's like multiple times per week, you know, 3-4 times in the week, then it's going to happen much quicker that you're going to realize like, hey, there's actually no emotion attached to that. Nobody's telling me anything, you know, at work because of the number I saw this morning. I'm not like a better or worse person than before. If you do have people that tell you something about your weight, then definitely punch them in the face. It's not their place to say anything about that. But just do it. Like, just get on with it, and then you are going to develop a new relationship with that. But it's an important metric if you want to improve your body composition.
100%. And it can also help to get support from coaches, because if you have someone by your side who can explain to you like why things are maybe fluctuating, why things are happening the way they are happening, because, you know, we have the experience with working with a lot of women in very different situations with very different body compositions, then it takes away the emotional part of it, and you learn how to become more rational about stepping on the scale and seeing it as a data point. We have seen it multiple times from women inside our community that said, oh, finally I can see all those things as like data points and become more like the scientist in my body transformation journey. And that takes away a lot of stress and overthinking and just headspace. So we are leaving you with that for today. Until next time, bye bye.
Bye bye.